You're watching or listening to The Looking Forward Show on PhillyCam, WPPM LP, Philadelphia, 106.5 FM, or PhillyCam TV. You can also see us live streaming on Xfinity 66 and 966, on Bios TV 2930, on Roku, Apple TV, and Facebook, as well as our YouTube channel. And now, here's your host, Jeffrey Abramowitz.
I'm grateful to be here. You're listening to and watching the Looking Forward Show. We were on PhillyCam, WPPM LP 106.5 FM. You can see us at PhillyCam TV, and we're live streaming on Xfinity 66 and 96, Bios TV 2930, Roku, Apple TV, and YouTube channel. And I'm so glad to be here. I have to tell you, it's been a few weeks since we've been on the show, and a lot of things have happened in the few weeks that Looking Forward's been off. And I have to catch you up on everything. But I'm super excited about this show. We have some amazing people that are going to be on today. They are, I call them always on my show, my rock stars. And they are truly rock stars. They are incredible people. They're making change happen across the country. And I'll give you that lineup in a second. But I want to catch you up on a few things. First, this has been travel season for me. And a lot of conferences around the country. Was really excited. Was out in Seattle for the COABE, Coalition on Adult Basic Education Conference. Had a wonderful time there. The Correctional Educators Association Conference in Long Beach, California was out there. Recently was in Harrisburg for the Correctional Educators Conference locally, their Region 1. I was at the Pennsylvania Workforce Development Conference in Hershey and got to catch up with Coach D. And Coach D is in the house today. I'm really looking forward to him. He's really exciting, and you're going to love it. I'm telling you, when you're going to get done this podcast today, and you're going to be all excited about what's going on. But Coach D's in the house. You're going to meet Coach Darrell Andrews, who's an amazing man. But during the interim, have had some amazing journeys and trips along the way. The first one I have to bring up is some work being done at the Pennsylvania Department of Corrections with SCI Chester. The House of Corrections and in Pennsylvania has been doing some great work. And in particular, they launched this pod down in SCI Chester, which is the State Correctional Institute of Chester. And they call it the Scandinavian Village. And it's modeled off of a pod, an inmate pod down in Scandinavia, or across in Scandinavia, that really prepares men for coming home after incarceration. And the amazing thing about this village is it's really about self-care and preparing people for what their next step is. It's incredible. So they have, you go into the unit, and first, the whole atmosphere of this unit is very different than a regular prison unit. It's painted, beautiful colors, very soothing colors, but they have rooms where you can meditate. You can, there's a fish tank there. Men do their own cooking in the pod, so they're really preparing themselves. And it's really been, it was an incredible experience to see the attitude of the gentleman. It just launched recently, and I was really excited. I think it's a model that we should be following across the country, preparing people as they begin to walk out the door. I've also spent today actually with our past governor of New Jersey, Jim McGreevey, and I spent the morning together, and he's now head of the New Jersey Reentry Corp up in North Jersey. Got to spend the morning with him and brought in a partner that I've been working with. And this is I always talk about the blend of public and private sectors to make change happen. And LabCorp was with us today. And we spent the morning talking about how we can work with LabCorp to do some great things for those people that have been justice impacted and those marginalized populations. So just incredible. We're doing a lot of great stuff. I'm really excited. Today's show and theme is all about let's talk business. And we're going to be talking business with Coach D. We also have Ramona Harris on today. And Ramona she's going to share the great work that her and her husband, Bobby Harris, have been doing. I'm excited about her. And one of my good friends, Kimberly McClellan, is on. And Kimberly runs a business called Grant Boulevard. And if you haven't heard about Grant Boulevard, you need to Google it, and you need to follow it, and you need to start getting their product and their fashion. It's all about fashion with Grant Boulevard. We're going to talk about the great work that they're doing as well. So I'm really excited to be here. I'm gonna take a really quick break because I want to set us up for our first guest. It's going to be Coach Coach D's coming on, and Coach Darrell Andrews, amazing. He's a motivational speaker. He's the king of workforce development consulting, and you're going to be hearing from him, and really I'm looking forward to it. So we're going to be right back. You're listening to the Looking Forward Show.
You're listening to or watching The Looking Forward Show. You can listen to our show at PhillyCam Radio, WPPM LP Philadelphia 106.5 FM, or watch us on PhillyCam TV, live streaming at Xfinity 66 and 966, Fios TV 29 and 30 on Roku, Apple TV, or on the Looking Forward YouTube station.
We are back, and I want to bring on our first guest because our first guest and I go back a little ways. But Coach D, Coach Darrell Andrews, he's called Coach D. He's one of the most motivating people that I've ever met. He does training. He's been doing it for about 20 years. He formerly worked in Fortune 500 company at Abbott Laboratories in sales and marketing, and he specializes in working with companies, helping them get through and understand the power of self-care and teamwork and integration of all of those things, diversity, equity, and I call it confusion. And Coach D, how are you?
Oh, I like that last part, Jeff, man. Confusion. That's a nice little additional piece to it.
Yeah,
yes,
for
sir,
sure,
man.
How you doing, Coach? We got the chance to spend some time together. So first of all, to set our audience up, tell them a little about Coach D and the work you do.
Yeah, well, first of all, I'll let you know I'm in Orlando, Florida right now. So
awesome.
Just to kind of give you a little insight right now, we're actually not there on business. We're actually looking to partially relocate here. So we're looking at some places down there. So it's neat. Nice growth area in the country that we're looking to do some work in. But I'm Darrell Andrews, Coach D, as my good friend Jeff alluded to. I've been in this space of consulting and training in workforce development, but also corporate. We do corporate programs and things of that nature for 20 years. I always tell people, Jeff, I was born an entrepreneur. It's just I tried to shake it many times, but it's not in me, man. So I remember I was a little kid in Syracuse, New York. I used to sell Christmas cards on the corner of the Syracuse, New York, when it's like 5 degrees below zero, and I was selling Christmas cards, and I was #1 sales in the country, man.
Nice.
So entrepreneurism is in my blood, but I've built up a company now where I have consultants who do training and development and coaching for companies, organizations, and workforce groups primarily. That's our primary work all over the country. You know, we've been in every state multiple times. We work with state associations like the Pennsylvania Workforce Development Association, the National Association of Workforce Development Professionals, Texas Workforce Commission. I mean, we've worked with all of them multiple times to really enhance workforce outcomes throughout the country. So we use motivation as a tool for that, Jeff. So it's motivation, but I have a saying that I use a lot of it. My team knows it well, and that is motivation without information is simply a good conversation. So we try to provide some structure and strategy to help teams move forward and enhance their outcomes with their staff and their customers, across the board. So it's great work. I love doing what I do, man. I tell people it's not even like work to me.
I can tell it's not work for you because you get up there, and I had a chance to sit down in one of your workshops recently.
Yeah.
We were in Hershey, Pennsylvania at the Pennsylvania Workforce Development Association conference, and you just take over a room and no one's falling asleep, man, because first of all, you're calling them out if they are. But second is you just have this presence in the room, and some people have it. I call it. It's just it. Some people have it. Some people don't. They try to have it, but they don't really have it. But you command a room, but you're commanding a room with a message. Yeah. And the messages that you have when it comes to workforce development are really centered around a lot of different themes. But one of the big themes is about teamwork.
Yes.
And, I'm wondering if you could talk a little about your a lot of the work you do is trying to get people motivated and working together. And you seem to do it, but your philosophy about teamwork and how it all comes into play in workforce.
Yeah, I'll tell you something, man. And to be honest with you, thank you for sharing that, because that's probably one of the more significant topics post-pandemic, man, because people are coming back from a lot of trauma. You think about that. I mean, we're talking a year basically of if you touch a bag, you're going to die, wipe down your doorknobs. I mean, you think about that, just how traumatic is that, and And then we're going to go from this workplace environment to now I'm working at home, but hey, I got a baby here. I have children here. I have animals here, dog, cat, parents or whatever, elderly parents. But I still got to get my job done. You know what I mean? And so teamwork is probably more significant now than it's ever been because we need each other to continue to recover from what we've experienced. Now that we're coming back into the workplace, and not fully because a lot of people are doing hybrids, how do we work as a team? You know what I mean? How do we encourage each other? When some days I may feel a little discouraged because I'm still feeling sort of the effects of what I've just gone through. So, a lot of our work is around helping people. And I think, I got to give Walter Simmons credit for this when he talked about, how do we reset? How do we reboot and get ourselves back on track? And listen to this. This is important, to a new normal. It's not what it used to be, man. It's really not. And we have to be okay with that, but it could be better if we do it right, because there's some new and exciting things that are now emerging from all of this that we can redesign and restructure and reframe the way we do work, or we could even be better off. But teamwork is a critical component. And as you know, I throw a lot of self-care into that piece, because in order for me to be a great teammate, I got to take care of myself. And so we've been doing a lot of work around self-care as well. So teamwork today it's motivational. And you know me, man, I want to get people as inspired as they possibly can get. But I also realize that, man, we got to do something with that inspiration. You know what I mean? It can't just be get fired up and then, I feel good, and then go back to my routine, especially not today. We need to put systems, and we're big on systems, man, systems of teamwork and team synergy in place so that it becomes a part of our organizational culture, because that's critical, man, especially today.
Yeah, it really does. So a lot of people are complaining now. A lot of agencies are starting to come back to work. So they're mandating maybe 1 or 2 days or 3 days back to work in the office. I think there's a lot to be said for that. I kind of been an office person. I work better in the office just personally. And although there's been a big benefit for a lot of families, like moms, they have children at home. They've got to spend some more time at home with their children. They've been able to kind of juggle those balls a little bit easier. And I agree. I think it's the new normal that we have to start looking for, like, what's going to work for all of us, and is there a happy medium, and are we going to be better for it? I have to believe that for a lot of people, working at home has been wonderful because they've given them that opportunity. But for a lot of people too, they miss that personal contact. I need that personal contact. I need to see people. You get energized when you're in that room and you're touching people and you're seeing people and you got that eye contact. And I think it's about that pivot. And one of the things, this whole, our whole theme today is really about, let's talk business and successes of businesses. And you seem to master the art of the pivot, really being able to understand that it's taking a business or a situation and then pivoting to make it better. You also blend in a lot of the physical pieces of it. Like you're big on exercise. And can you talk through us a little bit about, staying physical and the importance of being physically fit in all this?
Yeah, let me, if you don't mind, Jeff, I want to address the first thing you said as far as the pivot.
Sure.
Then I'll add the fitness to it. I'm I tell people I'm smart, but I'm not. I'm brilliant enough to learn from the best. So there's this guy named Napoleon Hill who wrote a book years ago called Think and Grow Rich. So a lot of people who were book readers from back in the day remember that book. And he said something in that book that's really powerful. And and when you think about when you talk about pivot and how our company pivoted, I really got it from that book. And that book was written 40 years ago. But this is what he said. During the Great Depression, he said 2 things happened from a business perspective. When there were 2 schools of thought. You had one school of thought that thought it was gloom and doom. We just lost everything. It's terrible. Life is terrible. Everything's bad, man. It's just bad. And so, it's over. And guess what? For those folks, it was. You know what I mean? They thought it, they believed it, and it truly manifested itself. They say self-fulfilling prophecy. But then there was another school of thought that said, hey, man, great opportunity to reinvent. Let's go some new pathways. Let's try some new things. Let's see what works. And let me tell you something. That's what we did for 7 to 8 months. We volunteered our time. We created a weekly workforce development motivation thing. We weren't charging anybody. And 500 people showed up to the first one. 500. To the first one. And we're doing it all virtual. And we were carrying people, man, through this pandemic, literally every week they were coming back. We weren't getting paid a dime, but we said we're going to sow seed into the industry. You see, because that's what we had. All the business was gone. Nobody was doing live programs anymore. We lost all our contracts, but we didn't sit there and lick our wounds. We said, what can we do differently? And then I created a workforce development motivation summit virtual during the pandemic. And boy, they signed up like crazy for that thing. And then from there, I said to my team, for now, since everything is no longer live, let's build virtual models. And that's exactly what we did. You see, and that mindset came from reading that book. So I'm going to tell folks, you're going to read. Read. And I'm telling you, man, because we try to figure things out ourselves and people have already figured it out.
Yeah, isn't that crazy too? We learn so much from reading, and I'm an avid reader. I read all the time, and I think that we don't as a country, if not a world, we don't do enough really reading and learning from those people that have come before us, right?
Yeah,
and they're doing some great things.
Yeah, and
Coach,
and being comfortable with listen. We live in. I'm saying this real quick. We live in a time where we have to be comfortable with change. If you're uncomfortable with change, you're not going to survive in this new normal we're going into, because change can happen in a heartbeat. And so what we got to learn to do is embrace it, accept it, and be as innovative as we possibly can. One thing I talk a lot about in workforce development at that very high level is we've got to be more innovative. We can't do business as usual and expect success. You know what I mean? And the reality is that's the truth. But that's not just workforce. That's corporate. That's education. It's across the board.
For sure.
Yeah.
Coach, we're talking business too, and I'm curious, if you had some advice for people that are just getting into business and starting up. I know we have some guests on today that have got their feet pretty well planted and on the way to success. But if you had some advice from a motivational end, what would you tell them? They're getting started, they're just starting their companies and getting off the ground. Some of them have had challenges through their life. What guidance would you suggest to them?
Well, just a couple of things I would tell new entrepreneurs that we know and work with ourselves to some extent, and that is, one, this may seem like a simple statement, but there's riches in the niches. There's riches in the niche. Don't try to be the jack of all trades with business. You know what I mean? Like, find a lane that's a good lane for you to build upon, and build upon that lane. I talked to a lot of new aspiring entrepreneurs, and they want to be everything to everybody, man. They want to and that's just not how you do it. Because when people start to know you for something, then you become valuable to them in that marketplace. When you deliver a good product, that's another thing, and a good service, you become valuable in that marketplace. Now, you said something when you first started, Coach D's like the king of workforce development. Well, the reason why, and I'm not there's others that may want to take that spot, but the reason why I'm so well known, because that's my niche. You know what I mean? There's a lot of other marketplaces I can be in, but I've been working in this marketplace for 20 years. So there's no state, no conference, no nothing that doesn't know who I am. Why? The niche market, man. I understand it, and that's critical for a business owner.
Absolutely. So we're doing today, we're doing the top 10 reasons. So I'm asking all my guests today to give me a reason or two of why businesses fail. And you actually hit number 5, trying to do it all. It just doesn't work. We know that. It doesn't work. Yeah.
It's funny. It's funny. I'll say this real quick. When I sit down with new aspiring entrepreneurs, that's what they always say that. They have like 20 different things they're going to master. And I just laugh. They're like, why are you laughing? I said, you're going to fail at all 20.
All at once. All at once.
Well, here you are, Mr. Motivator, telling me I'm going to fail. Yeah, because you're not focused. Yeah. You need to be focused.
So, Coach, I want to give some time for our other guests, but I'd be really remiss if I spent some time with I call her your better half, because your daughter Sophia, I had a chance to meet and talk with, and she is just an amazing young person. And
thank you.
I gotta tell you, you just did it right, man. I know you got some other children, but and I haven't met them yet. But Sophia is an amazing young woman. I did ask her to come on. I'm not sure she got it today, but can you tell me just briefly, tell our audience about the work Sophia is doing?
Yeah, I appreciate that. And what probably Jeff knows her too, is she's speaking at some of these conferences now to the professionals about motivating youth from a youth perspective, and she's done a phenomenal job at it. She just spoke at the keynote at the National Association of Workforce Development Professionals Youth Symposium in December. I'm very proud of Sophia. Sophia is a global scholar. at American University, one of 25 kids selected for the ISS department in National Studies. She's the founder of an organization called Ngoma Kenya, Ngoma Kenya.org, which is a nonprofit that helps orphans in Nairobi, Kenya through the arts. She has a team over there that is working for them. I couldn't imagine at 19, when I was 19, having a team anywhere. And the team of people working over there. She's also what's called an Ashoka Young Changemaker, which is a very select group of young people throughout the country that this major organization is backing in their social, what they call social entrepreneurism focus. And so she's been invited globally to do some presentations for them. Sophia's an amazing young lady, man. She's always been that way though, Jeff. She's has always had drive. She's always had determination. Now she's just using it to make a difference. And now she's speaking a lot. She's getting these opportunities to go do these presentations all over the country. And I'm very proud of her, man. Thank you for recognizing.
Yeah, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So that's for sure. So Coach D, can you give everybody, if we wanted to get hold of Coach D and bring him in to do some workforce development for us, how can we reach you?
Yeah, and I would just add too, we do workforce development. We also do diversity, equity, inclusion.
Sure.
And, we do team building. It's not just for workforce groups, but for corporations, businesses, and organizations. So we span the spectrum with that. But if you want to reach out to us, our website is CoachDSpeaks.com, CoachDSpeaks.com, and email is info@CoachDSpeaks.com, info@CoachDSpeaks.com. That's the best way to get through us. And we have someone on the team. They respond quickly to any inquiries. And I always tell people too, it's not just about business. If you want to do business, that's great. But if you have questions, you know what I mean? You may want to debrief on what we talked about today. I'm open to that too. So we're just here to serve, man. We're here to serve.
Good stuff. Coachy, thank you so much for taking time for us today. If you want to hang out, we do have a round robin at the end of the show. We understand though, your busy schedule.
Yeah, I'm down here, man. I got to get back to the family. So thank you.
Go do it. Good luck down in Orlando. And we look forward to catching up with you soon. Thanks, Coach.
Appreciate
Coach D, really excited, and we're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be bringing Ramona Harris on, and Ramona's and Bobby Harris are doing some great stuff. So we'll be right back at the Looking Forward Show. We are back at the Looking Forward Show, Philly Cam Radio, WPPM LP, Philadelphia 106.5, and Philly Cam TV. We're live streaming right now, and you can see us on Xfinity 6696, on Vios TV 29 and 30, Roku, Apple TV, and your favorite YouTube channel, The Looking Forward Show. I want to bring on our next guest because I'm really excited. Ramona Harris, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Jeff? It's so good to see you.
Yes.
So I got to tell you,
see Bobby up here.
Yeah, maybe we'll get Bobby on, but Bobby was on before, so we're going to the better half. Behind every good man is a great woman, right? And yes. I've known Bobby for a number of years, and Bobby and I connected when I came home, and I've been able to watch him grow as not only a leader, but also as an entrepreneur. And that's really why I wanted to get you on today. But we don't know a lot about Ramona Harris, so we need to know some. So tell us about Ramona Harris.
I'm a jack of all trades. I'm into everything. I was laughing because Coach D was saying that you can't do everything, but I feel that I do everything. And, anybody that knows Bobby knows that he's all over the place. And I've kind of taken on that, that approach with everything that we do, because he's like, okay, we're going to do this. And I'm like, okay, we're going to do this. And it's like, we just, I feed off of whatever that, he brings to the table, and I just try to put it together and we go from there.
Yeah. So let's back up. Let's back up a second, because I want to know a little about you. I know about Bobby. He was on, he gave us a little bit, but you grew up in Philadelphia?
I did. I grew up in Philadelphia, in Germantown. Nice. All my life I've been there. Germantown, Mount Airy, that's my area. Uptown, everybody know. I have been there. I'm still there. We do a lot of our nonprofit work in the area. I am a parent. I am a wife. I work for the government, as well as have my own businesses in the,
nice.
That we're building up off the ground right now.
All right, so let's go a little bit deeper here.
Mhm.
I know I saw pictures of your wedding. So yeah,
Uh,
you got married not too long ago, didn't you?
yeah,
Yeah.
last November 2020.
Yeah, congratulations. Bobby's a
Thank
lucky
you.
guy,
Oh,
and
thank
I
you.
know that yeah. So I see Bobby all the time. I'm usually at reentry or justice impacted or justice related events,
Yeah.
and so how do you do it? Because I got a hard time slowing him down. Like any conversation I have with him, he's running it. I thought I ran fast. No, no, no. This guy runs fast, like 24/7. He is on the
Yeah.
move and he's talking, he's shaking, he's doing it. So how do you slow
Yeah.
him down?
Well, it's hard to slow him down because, like I said, I kind of picked up those traits along with him because he's into so many things. And I kind of started out as the organizer, trying to keep him organized, not missing meetings, not missing calls. But then it became, we started doing things as far as starting businesses together. And, it's like the yin and the yang.
There you go. I love it.
So,
So you guys have started some businesses. I think our audience would appreciate. So when I knew Bobby, Bobby was justice involved, just like I was, to spend some time away. And did you
yeah.
know Bobby before he came home?
No, the funny thing about what Bobby and I is there was a newspaper article in 1989 about the young and the ruthless, and Bobby was square front and center on that newspaper article. And I read that article. I remember in my grandparents' house looking at that article. It was in the Sunday paper, and I read it, and I was looking at his picture, and I was like, I wonder, like, what led him to this path. And just so happened when he and I met, we started talking and that newspaper article came up, and I said, I have that newspaper article and I had it from all those years ago.
Wow.
And it was almost like it was destined that he and I met. And I remember so much, and it just so happened we went to the same grade school. We went to Edward T. Steele Elementary School together. We went to the same Get Set Zion Baptist Church. It was like our paths crossed so many times. We just missed each other in the process. And I mean, it just was a weird dynamic that we met the way we did,
No, it was
and we
fate.
had so
That's
much in
awesome.
common.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
pretty awesome. Pretty awesome.
yeah.
So Bobby came home and he faced the same challenges that I faced and many people face, getting a bank account and getting off the
Hmm.
ground, finding a house and those kinds of things.
Hmm.
And Bobby kind of was pretty methodical about kind of chipping away at it. He tried a bunch of different things. I know did some work with him at Just Leadership when he was doing some work here in Philadelphia, organizing and doing some leadership stuff. And then he began to really find his lane. And
Hmm.
he's done some remarkable things. Can you share with us a little bit about the business ventures you guys have started? Because I think our audience is going to be amazed at how they really have taken off recently.
Okay, well, originally we started a nonprofit, Unincarcerated Minds, and the staple of our program was our Feed the People program. We feed numerous people every week in different parts of the city. One of our biggest hurdles was transportation. We had to pick up food, and we had to use our own funds to rent U-Hauls. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay, I'm
You're
sorry.
good. No, it's
We
okay.
we had to use our own funds to rent U-Hauls. And Bobby came up with the idea we should start our own trucking business that would alleviate the transportation aspect of moving our food, picking up the food and moving it from place to place because we didn't have a stationary location. So about December of 2020, the idea came about. And about February, that's when we started putting plans together to incorporate that. And we started BR Trucking. BR Trucking started with a cargo sprinter and a refrigerated box truck. The
Wow.
box truck sat for a while because we couldn't get any work for it, and we started using the sprinter more often. We had a contract with a few places, and we were moving it about. And during that time, Bobby knows everybody, and everybody knows Bobby. He met a guy that was from Florida that owned a water. He owned a water, and
He owned
we've
a
become
water company.
a water company. Yes,
Yeah.
sorry. And we started through his water company. We started BR Distribution. We're the first African American distributor of water in the state of Pennsylvania, the only, and we beat everybody's price. We are in ShopRite right now, in ShopRite on Fox Street, as well as Cheltenham. And
Nice.
we're in various locations throughout the city, the Wayne Avenue Health Food Store, Pollock Herbs. We have a number of different various locations that we do have the water in. And we also have food that we will be distributing, but right now our staple is on the water.
Good stuff. Good stuff. And he's
Yeah.
also doing the transportation. So he's got his CDL, and he's been
No.
doing, or he's got his transportation company, the trucking company's up and running. Correct?
Yes. We don't require a CDL because we're using the cargo sprinters. The
Gotcha, all
sprinters,
box trucks.
you're right. Right.
So we're talking business, and I'm curious, like, what advice would you have for other people jumping in the pool to start their companies?
Oh God, get educated and find a mentor. Someone that knows the business is a good start. And don't lose hope because it is very difficult. It is not easy. It is an everyday thing. It is not, okay, I'm gonna do this today and put it down tomorrow. No, this has been going on every day, constantly, because this is your business. This is like an infant. This is your child, and you're growing it to, wherever you want to take it to, you can. But you just have to get educated. It's, because the business that we're in with the trucking, it's $1 billion industry, and it's so many different aspects of it, but you want to make sure that you cover those aspects, are educated, and you want to make sure that you cross your T's and your I's too, because you're dealing with the government. You're dealing with so many different aspects. You don't want any trouble.
Absolutely. So yeah, a part of it has got to be an understanding of your customer and what they want.
Yes.
And you heard Coach D about staying in your lane and really
Yes.
doing what's smart. That's
Yes.
so what would you say the biggest challenge has been that you guys have faced since you've gotten started?
Well, I know on my aspect, organization, because there's so many things that we're doing on a daily basis, staying organized into one thing, making sure that we do everything that's necessary and that is, that we need to do to make sure that we keeping records in order, keeping track of everything. It's a number of things that I can say have been hurdles. Funding, because like with the nonprofit, we're using our own personal funds. So that is a big challenge as well. We haven't built the credit of the business yet, so we have to use our own.
Yeah, you'll
But
get there. So you chopped off. I asked Coach D what are the top 10. We're going through our top 10 list of why small businesses fail, and number 4 was underestimating administrative tasks. I think you kind of hit that right on the head, right?
Yes.
Good stuff. So
You have to be in order. You have to be in order, especially when you're keeping records and because there's so many tax deductions and tax breaks and things like that. And because most of the time when you're contracted, you're paying your taxes either quarterly or at the end of the year. You don't want to mess that up because, again, you don't need the trouble at the end of
for
the year.
sure.
Yeah.
Good stuff. So I'm curious, in 5 years, where are you guys going to be?
Oh, we're going to have, well, we have a number of contracts. I don't want to speak on them at the moment, but
That's
we
okay.
want to expand those contracts because we're talking about, another business entity. But we want to expand those contracts, get larger. We want to hire formerly incarcerated. That is one of our main goals, is to make sure that we look out for the people that are returning home or on their way home. And that was originally one of the reasons that we did start the trucking business as well, outside of transportation for the nonprofit. We want to be able to provide meaningful employment. And I'm not knocking anybody else that hires anyone, but meaningful employment for someone coming home from prison, that they can provide for themselves and, still have something, left on the table to enjoy themselves after being away for so long.
Awesome. Good stuff. Good stuff. Congratulations to both you and Bobby. If we wanted to get information on your company and the work that you're doing, both your nonprofit and the trucking company, how would we go about locating you and Bobby?
You can contact us. Our number is universal. It's 267-939-1272. That is the number for the trucking company, as well as BR Distribution, our water distributor. If you would like to order any water, you can contact through that number as well, because we beat everyone's prices as well. So I have to promote. We
There you
do beat
go.
everyone's prices, but that number is the main number, and my number 215-888-8410. That is for unincarcerated minds. That is if you are still, we still make sure that we do our Feed the People program throughout the city of Philadelphia and in the surrounding counties. That is the number that can be reached with that.
Awesome. It's great having you on. I'm going to ask you to hang out for a little bit. Stay with us, okay? I want to do a round robin towards the end, but we're going to come back and we're going to bring a good friend of ours on from Grant Boulevard. And Kimberly is an amazing woman who's been doing some just incredible work in the city of Philadelphia. And we're going to be right back. You're listening to or watching the Looking Forward Show. We'll be right back.
You're listening to or watching the Looking Forward Show. You can listen to our show at PhillyCam Radio, WPPM LP Philadelphia 106.5 FM, or watch us on PhillyCam TV, live streaming at Xfinity 66 and 966, Fios TV 29 and 30 on Roku, Apple TV, or on the Looking Forward YouTube station.
We are back and Looking Forward Show, and I'm really excited about our next guest. Kimberly McClone has been a friend. I've recently been doing some work with them. Kimberly, I'm not sure if you could put your camera on there, because if you can, we'd love to see you. I'm going to add you to the stream there. I'm not sure if you're having some camera. If you can't, that's okay. We got you up there. We'll listen to you.
I would love to be on camera. I'm trying to figure out how to do that. So let's figure that out.
There you go. We'll give you a second. But Kimberly's an advocate of justice and environmentalism. She's been doing some great leadership work in the fashion industry. She is the founder and CEO of manufacturing startup, a B Corp called Grant Boulevard. She oversees the creative direction and growth strategy of the brand. Kimberly's Grant Boulevard's mission is to construct stylish, sustainable, sourced fashion by reducing waste in landfills and creating living wage jobs for women, particularly those who are formerly incarcerated. She was doing some amazing work. In her outside roles, Kimberly disrupts by guiding other social entrepreneurs in discovering their purpose in digital community. Build It Boldly is her podcast and School for Disruptors. Kimberly is the Grant Boulevard Project. There she is.
Here I am, everyone.
I'm so glad to have you on, and thank you for joining us today. I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna pull off the screen for a second, but I want people to hear this one bit. So I want you to listen to this. I'm gonna take us both off, and I'm gonna put this on for a
Boulevard's
second.
different, and our approach to sustainable fashion is different. Our team takes garments that already exist and give them a second life. This is how we're tackling climate change and how we're reducing waste. You know, everything we wear tells a story, and the story of garments from Grant Boulevard speaks volumes, which is why we also design using organic cottons and dead stock fabrics to tell new stories. Stories not just about how we feel about the environment, but truths about our regard for people who are locked out and left behind, particularly women who are formerly incarcerated. This is also why we work so hard to find them and to hire them. But there's more. We're what Diddy is to hip-hop, what Davis is to jazz. We're the remix. And we're excited to introduce you to how fun and fresh sustainable style can be. Next time you're in Philly, stop by our store at 3605 Lancaster Avenue. We've got so much to show you.
So if you were actually in a concert or in any venue right now, you could probably just drop the mic after that, because it's just remarkable. So tell our folks a little about Kimberly and how you got started in all this.
Hey, everybody. Let's see here, Jeff. I think for me, I've been teaching for a long time. I'd been in the classroom for about 20 years when I started Grant Boulevard. And I started it really, it wasn't that I wasn't enjoying teaching anymore. You know, as a CEO, I still see myself as a teacher. It was really because I was compelled to understanding and then to action by watching Ava DuVernay's documentary 13th. So I don't know if you guys who are watching or listening, if you've seen 13th, it's on Netflix. It's about the 13th Amendment to the Constitution, the ways in which it, on one hand, attempted to end slavery, but on another hand, really set up a pathway for recapturing labor through a carceral system. So I saw that, Jeff, and I was putting together like this really kind of, I can think of like a, I don't know, this interesting synthesis of all the systems. And I decided I wanted to do a little bit more than what I was doing in the classroom. And I thought, you know, how could I create jobs? I really saw an economic isolation as a major contributing factor to why so many Black folk, Latinx folk, poor folk found themselves in cycles of incarceration. And I'm a girl from the north side of Milwaukee, where, you know, we have incredibly high rates of incarceration and recidivism. And I've loved right now a number of people who are either, you know, have convictions or are currently, incarcerated. And so, yeah, I saw that and I was like, what am I going to do? Knew it wasn't going to be teaching. I thought maybe it could be fashion. So I started studying fashion, saw how bad it was for the planet. And I decided that I wanted to, you know, do something that really kind of came differently in all the ways. And so Grant Boulevard was born, and here we are.
Wow. So when did Grant Boulevard, when did it take flight?
I founded the company in 2017, and then in 2018 was the first time I took it out, like, away from me. We did our first pop-up event at the end of 2018. We launched our e-commerce site, www.grantboulevard.com. And then in 2019, we moved into our first studio space. 2020, right before the pandemic hit in February, we secured our first storefront. And so, yeah, we've been at it. We've been in it, and we've been at it since solidly 2018.
Wow. So we've been talking. I know I was at your, I've been at your store before, but I had never been to, you actually have a factory place in Fishtown, in a really neat setting in Fishtown. And I was able to go through and got to see all the great work that you do. So why, first of all, fashion's got to be a really tough industry. Like, how do you break into something like that? And wasn't it scary when you began this journey?
You know what? I think, one thing I'm learning about business, which, as someone who comes from the classroom space, I mean, I'm the daughter of people who started a small business. So I kind of had some sense of just how much commitment it takes to build something, as my director of design and production, she says, off the muscle. And I'm like, I love that. You just build something off the muscle. That's business is about flexing these new muscles and growing these new muscles. And yeah, I think I don't think I was afraid, because I don't think I really understood what I was even attempting to do. Like, I really didn't understand. I didn't understand the challenges, like it's being in business. The deeper you go into understanding what it is that you're designing, I think the more you are able to see the landscape. And it's only after, it probably took me about a good almost maybe 2 years to really kind of get a sense of all of the challenges of in fashion, particularly when you care about paying a living wage and you care about thinking about your supply chain and its impact on the environment. I think it's so much easier to be in fashion when you don't think about, like, where the things that you're selling come from. You don't know who your suppliers are. You don't think about whether or not the women and girls who are making the things that you're selling, how they've been treated. You don't know who they are. I think for me, really thinking about not just being in fashion, Jeff, but thinking about being in manufacture in the space. It's one of the things that makes us really remarkable. There aren't many brands in America that are still producing exclusively in America. So I think that makes it as a unique kind of like value proposition and ad for us, but it also is an incredible challenge. There's a reason why so many fashion brands are comfortable with outsourcing to, Southeast Asia. And so, yeah, and I don't even think I really understood how egregious what is standard in that industry was until I kind of got my feet wet in it.
There's an amazing piece of your business, though, that really intrigues me, and it's this environmental piece. I know the social value of working with men and women that are justice impacted, but this value piece of the environment and caring for the environment and repurposing things. And that's a piece that I was wondering if you could share a little bit more about how that happens in your process.
Yeah, I think that, so I think there are many ways to think about sustainability in your supply chain. And I think it's a lot easier when you are the manufacturer. For us, it means thinking about where our fabrics are from. So we're using overages that are essentially destined for landfill. It's landfill waste. Perfectly good. These are fabrics in excellent quality. A lot of consumers don't know this. Large brands, one of the ways they keep their profit margins down is they overproduce, and then they either incinerate the fabrics that they have left over or they dump them in landfills. And there are a couple of places where you can pick up some of those overages before they end up in incineration or landfill. So we try to reduce that. We try to, really kind of tap into reducing waste in that way. We make a lot of garments from reimagined menswear. As a person who identifies as a woman, I've recognized the ways in which the patriarchy and just like the traditions of the world, not just America, have really decentered and really been intentional about silencing women and pushing women away and limiting women's access. So I like the idea of playing with fashion as a way of taking a statement about what my values are in terms of disrupting in that way. We think about our packaging, we think about how we're shipping, we think about, using biodegradable or compostable mailers. So for us, we're thinking about sustainability in all of our decisions.
Yeah, so you just chopped off a big one. Sustainability was number 7 on our list of the top 10 reasons why businesses fail, and you chopped off a bunch of them. We'll talk about in a little bit. But where do you hope Grant Boulevard? I know we're working on a few projects together, but where do you see Grant? And where do you see Grant Boulevard over the next 5 years?
In the next 5 years, I see us really doing an amazing job of expanding our capacity. As a company that's thinking about creating jobs that are living wage jobs in the States, expanding our capacity is a major goal of ours. And I think one of the things I'm really excited about with that is moving our revenue stream from what most people who see our website, they see us working exclusively in the fashion space. What they're going to see from us in the next 5 years is us really adding on a really solid second stream of revenue, which is another thing that businesses have to figure out how to navigate, how to generate multiple revenue streams. And for us, it'll be in pivoting to a B2B model, a business to business model, where we're going to be working in the food and beverage and hospitality sector, creating uniforms and aprons and home goods as a way of just kind of generating more revenue. So I'm super excited about that, and figuring out how we can generate those, create some just some accounts receivables, which is another way of generating revenue, and then producing goods for larger companies that are thinking about how do they get more Black folks on the shelves? How do they support more Black-owned businesses? How do they get behind companies that are thinking about putting the planet and people first?
Just love it. Just love it. There's so many boxes that you're check off in my head of priorities for the way I live and for things that I think need to be on America's, the entire country's checkoff box of just being aware of the environment and looking at, I mentioned before, I call it diversity, equity, and confusion, because I think there's a lot of confusion over it, but really, just taking marginalized populations, and we're going to change and get people out of poverty by really engaging, helping them get educated and smarter, and you giving them the skill set they need to succeed, which is really incredible in all the work you do. Thank you so much. If we wanted our audience, we're going to keep you, we got a little bit more of the show to go, and I want to talk about some more things, but if we want to reach Grant Boulevard, in particular, reach out to you, how would we go about doing that?
You guys are going to shop us, right? We're going to support this sustainable fashion brand. We're going to give gifts from it, right? So you can come and see us at 36 in Lancaster in Philadelphia if you're in a University City shopping district. You can shop us online 24/7 at www.grantboulevard.com. If you just want to hear more about my thoughts and how I think about business strategy in particular, you can find me at builditboldly.com, or you can listen to my thoughts on my podcast, The School for Disruptors.
Awesome. I love it. I love you. You're awesome. We're going to take a really quick break, and we're bringing Ramona and Kimberly back, and we're going to do a round robin and talk to them about a few things and get some questions answered. So you're listening to and watching the Looking Forward Show. I'm Jeff Brown. We'll be right back. We're back at the Looking Forward Show on Philly Cam Radio, WPPM LP 106.5 FM, and you can watch us on Philly Cam TV. Well, we're live streaming on Xfinity 6696 Fios TV, Roku, Apple TV, and your favorite YouTube channel. And I'm so excited. I'm glad you both are on the screen now, because I really wanted to talk to both of you. We've got some great minds on this, and we're definitely going to connect you guys after the show too, because I think there's a lot of synergy in both of the work you do. But you both been through some really mainstream grassroots development, business startup lessons that you've gotten under your belts. And I want to chip away for our audience a little bit and educate them. And I can't think of two better people right now to share a little bit. But the challenges that you faced in getting off the ground, and advice. I mean, what are you going to tell young people, young people that want to get out and start their own business, and they have this great concept, great idea? What's the number one thing they should be thinking about? Either one of you.
Okay, I'll start.
Give
It's
us.
education. You have to educate yourself. Reading is fundamental. You have to read as much as you can about what you're trying to get into. Ask questions. It's a lot of information out here. A lot of people that know people they may not know, but somebody they may know something. You just have to ask and never limit yourself. Just whatever, wherever, because if everybody knows, my husband, he came home in 2017 and he knows more people than I do. And it's only because he talks and he listens, he meets people. It's, you have to open yourself up to meeting people because somebody knows something that you
Yeah.
need to get ahead.
So we're
So,
going to put that under number 10 on my list, which was no business plan or poor planning, right? Really
yeah,
educating yourself and really planning.
yes.
So Kim, tell us what's advice you're going to give us? What's something that's
I
on our list of why business might fail they need to avoid?
Ooh, 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 ooh. Oh, I know. And I think this is a great segue from what you just said. I think that one of the things we don't realize is that regardless of where we come from, we all have networks and we all have influence. So don't sleep
Mhm.
on your own network. Really think about all the people who you know. Who are the people you know from from your neighborhood, from school, from maybe part-time jobs you've had, your parents, friends. Think about all the people you know and recognize that
Yeah.
all of them are potential resources, either to support a project you're working on, or to shop a product that you're selling, or to offer you wisdom or encouragement. That's one of the things or to just offer you skills. Don't forget. Sometimes people can't give you money, but it doesn't mean they don't have time that they can give you or expertise that they can lend you that can help you in building the thing that you want to build. So just really, really run your network. They say there's that old saying, y'all may, I'm sure some of you listeners know it, like your net worth is your network. And, even
Yeah.
when you come from nothing, right? And as some of us do come from very little, I think we sometimes sleep on our human resources because we don't really accurately evaluate who will really show up for us. And we don't give them a chance to show up for us. We don't invite them to show up for us. So don't be afraid to make the ask and ask everybody.
You just never know who you're going to be talking to that,
Mhm.
no matter what that, and never assume that, by the way they look, that they have a connection or don't, because you just never know who you're talking to. There was a great story about a young man who was helped a young boy helped a older elderly lady across the street, and she was just carrying her bags, and they got to the other side, and she's talking about this idea and concept he had, and the lady's father, or the lady's son, was head of a major corporation and was able to help him get launched. You just never know who you're talking to when you talk about networking in the world. And when it comes to business, though, you both must have some opinion or some feeling on, like, what are the big challenges or problems that you have operationally? Like, what are the things that some businesses just really get stuck on? And we heard a little bit, Coach D, about staying in your lane, right? And getting in your lane and just staying there and driving hard in that lane, because going outside of the lane, trying to be everything to everybody might not necessarily be the best thing for you. But I want to address this to both of you. I want to start with Kim, though, because first, when we talk about customers, how important is knowing your customer, what they want, how to interact with them, how to work with them, and really understanding their needs?
I mean, that's everything. You can produce 1,000 of something that no one wants, and all you've done is wasted time and money. So it is about, it's about knowing what your customer wants and figuring out how to assess what they want. But it's also about, having a really nimble spirit. If you overcommit to something, and don't get me wrong, like commitment is a major part of even being able to see if something's working or not. But if you don't become agile and being able to be flexible and recognizing what's working, what's not working, you'll keep doing the same thing over and over again. And so,
Yeah.
you have to love your idea, but you have to also recognize that what you need to love more is doing what people is trying to figure out what people are responding to and then responding to that. And that can be draining, and that can be challenging, and that can require so much creativity. But that's where success in business in the long term, that's where I think it lives.
For sure. So, Ramona, I want to give you space. Do you want to add to that?
It's about meeting people where they are. That's one thing that, I've learned the last few months with that. You have to know, like she said, you have to know people's needs, and you have to one thing that goes without question, you have to listen. You have to actively listen and even listen to the words that are not being said. so that you understand what this person or what this company or what this consumer, what they need.
Yeah, for sure. So you guys checked off another box there, and that was the refusal to pivot. You know, being able to hear and listen to your customer and then actually pivot. You know, you may have this great concept, but if you're not listening to what your customer needs are and what they really want and not pivoting is actually the number 3 reason why companies fail within their first year is because they refuse to pivot. They stick to that great idea and they just they can't go anywhere else with it because they don't have that nimbleness, which I think we've gotten a lot better at because of COVID. We've kind of learned how to pivot a little bit better. If there was so from a financial perspective or just a management perspective, you know, Ramona, you talked a lot about your understanding the administrative pieces of all this, and how bad or how much do we need to concern ourselves about, you know, things like inventory and making sure that the inventory is we have it and also the sales end of it, like those pieces fit together. How important is that in both you know, the trucking industry and also in the clothing industry?
It's extremely important because, you know, again, you don't want to be able to, you don't want to offer something and don't have it or can't deliver. So you have to know what you have or what you can do and which you cannot do. So, and you want to be able to, know how to present that, you know, for every aspect, because you don't, again, you don't just want to be caught with your pants down and just say, oh, I can do that, but then you can't.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Under promise, over deliver, huh?
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
that's what they say. But yeah, inventory mismanagement is one big thing. Lack of sales is number 6 on the list of Forbes of why businesses fail within the first year. Like not having sales, obviously, you don't have any sales, forget it. You know, you're not going anywhere. You're not selling your product. It's not out there. But that's a big thing. The other thing that is on this list, which is interesting, is lack of data. Really not having data to support the work that you do and building that up, you know, showing what your product line is, but how successful it is, but understanding, you know, the data behind it and why people are buying it so that you can make the pitch elsewhere. But the number one, just curious, the number one reason why businesses fail, either you guys have a guess on this one?
Is it a marketing related issue?
Kind of, yeah. It's actually poor management. It's just poor management across the board, like not managing your company, your employees directly, and not managing that. I want to thank both of you for being unbelievable guests today. And again, Ramona, we want to reach out and we want to find more about Unincarcerated Minds and how we can reach your more about the trucking company. How can we find you?
Okay, for the trucking and for the water, 267-939-1272. You can also order the water on brdistribution.org, and we also deliver. So if you order, we have a 5-case minimum. If you order 5 cases, we'll deliver it right to you the next day. We also have alkaline water and we have alkaline hemp, but that's on back order. So when you go on the website, you can definitely place your orders.
You got it all. Kim, we want to reach out to Grant Boulevard. We want to buy your product. Where's your store and how can we reach you guys?
It is at 3605 Lancaster Avenue, so it's in West Philly. And you can find us online at www.grantboulevard.com. You can follow us on IG at Grant Boulevard, GrantBLVD.
I want to thank both of you for being awesome guests today, and we appreciate you so much. And we look forward to following both of you and your successes in your companies. And I'm going to pop you out for a second. I got some closing remarks I want to make, and we will. I want to bring everybody's attention. You know, the Looking Forward show it does a lot of work directly and indirectly with justice impacted individuals. And in June coming up is Reentry Month. So I want to be mindful that, and there's going to be a celebration on June 4th from noon to 4 at 8th and Diamond Streets in Philadelphia. And it's being sponsored by the Philadelphia Reentry Coalition and Jeff's Human Services and funded by the Philadelphia Poverty Action Fund. There'll be a whole bunch of events there. It's all for the community. It's free 95 for everybody. There'll be a vaccine clinic, expungement parting clinics for everybody. And we hope you'll join us that day, really just for a day of fun and for family. really give everybody some chance to get together and celebrate everybody coming home. And we know that when people go away, it's often their families that go through the ride as well, and they're incarcerated. So we're going to be celebrating everybody and really having a good time. So you've been watching and listening to the Looking Forward show, and I have to give a really big shout out to Coach D, Daryl Andrews, for everything he's done for in the work that he's in workforce development, to Ramon and Bobby Harris, and to Kimberly for at Grant Boulevard. Thank you guys so much. We